Hello and welcome to the next tutorial in our Making a Basic Game in Pygame series. So the next thing we're going to do is give another object for our player to dodge. So we're going to make another rectangle and draw it to the screen. So it's very simple. We do it in exactly the same way as we've done the other two rectangles, and we just use the same code. We're just going to make it black this time. And instead of using x and y, because that refers to our player, we need two new variables. So we're going to use x1 and y1 to give its x and y position. And we're going to set the size to 20 wide by 60 in length, because we're going to have this as like a truck or something coming down the screen that we're going to have to dodge. So we've got our rectangle, and that will now draw to the screen nicely. We need to give it a starting position as well, because otherwise at the moment, the computer doesn't know where to put it. So up the top, we've got our X and Y starting position for our player. So in a similar way, we're going to do a start position for the truck, if you like. So Y1 is 0, so that's going to be at the top of the screen, and 240 will place it pretty much in the middle of our screen. So if we run that now, we should see that we have a rectangle, and it is indeed black, and it's appearing towards the top of the screen, just slightly to the right hand side. So good, that's done. Next step is we need to get it moving. So in a very similar way to what we did here, we've got y plus equals velocity. I'm going to just add a little bit onto the y-axis of the rectangle to get it moving down the screen. So just up here, I'm going to add the code just underneath the last bit here. So let's just get it in the right place. There we go. So I've got y1 plus equals 5. So every go through the main sort of game loop, it will add 5 onto the y position. So if we just check our code to make sure it's all going as we expect, we can now see, boom, it goes down the bottom of the screen. I hope you just caught that. It was going quite quick. So that's great, but we've got a bit of an issue in the fact that it's disappearing right off the bottom of the screen and then it doesn't come back. So what we'd really want to happen now is for it to reappear at the top of the screen if it's gone off the bottom. So now what we're going to do is just add a bit of code in to make sure that it reappears if it's gone to the bottom. So we can do that with a simple if statement. So we can say if the y1 position, so the y-axis of our rectangle, is greater than 500, so that means it's gone off the bottom of the screen, we'll reset the y value to 0 to make it come back to the top. So let's have a look at that in action. And what we should now see is, here comes our little sort of basic truck, and we can now dodge him. We don't have any collision detection yet, we'll add that in the next tutorial, but now at least we've got some sort of traffic to dodge on our little sort of road. Now, it's going to be a bit boring if he always appears in the same place, so what we next want to do is kind of randomize where he's going to appear on the road, just to make the game a little bit more interesting. So we want to do that on the x-axis, because x is sort of left and right on the screen, y is up and down. So we want to randomly change the x-axis once he's gone off the bottom of the screen. So that'll basically mean that he comes down in that position once, and then every other time he'll appear in a random position somewhere on the x-axis. So to do that, we're just using the x1 variable we set for the x position of our little truck, and we're going to use the random library, and we're going to set it somewhere between 120 and 480, which will put it, actually onto the road in a random position. Now, if I run this code as is, it's not going to work because we're using the random library, so we need to import the random module right at the top of our code. So if we scroll back up to the top, we've got Pygame here. Now we import the random module, and if we run it, we should now have a slightly more interesting game. Now you can see we've got the truck coming down in all different positions, so it makes it a bit more interesting because we can like dodge the truck, if you like, coming down the screen. We don't yet have collision detection between our sort of like player square and the sort of basic truck that we've put on the screen, so that is something we will cover in the next tutorial. But yeah, there we have it. So a bit more interesting now, and we're building rapidly towards a more playable game. So I'll catch up with you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.